It's always been the CEOs and the creative directors hogging all the limelight in advertising. So when Mudra appointed a Chief Knowledge Officer, we thought we had to bring it your attention and give you all the dope on a different side of the ad fraternity. The planners, since they are the ones that everyone goes to when they want insights, culture codes and category research. Hiral Gandhi digs deeper to find out why knowledge is needed now and where do planners go from here.
I think margins in our industry have been dropping, and we've been watching this damn thing slide. And for us, I think it's about time we as an industry sharpen our value proposition to our clients and in a way ensure, if we haven't in the past, ensure future competitiveness. We must compete with the McKinseys of the world. We must enable knowledge to enable us to compete.
Will knowledge be the claim to fame for planners? Do they even want to be famous? Just what exactly are the country's top planners thinking? I spoke to Partha Sinha from BBH, Rohit Srivastav from Contract, Brent Gosling from Low and Madhukar Sabnavis from O&M to unlock the secret behind the craftiest minds of advertising.
In fact, it's something more of a historical antecedent to planning, if you like. I mean, planning was very much born out of knowledge departments and research.
It could get unbundled as we go along, whether there will be a knowledge wing and then there will be an what you call brand connect wing. That could happen. At this particular moment, I don't think there's a need because there's a very, very close interaction between the two of them.
Knowledge is not be all and end all. Is it a way forward for researchers? Maybe. But definitely not for planners.
By definition, knowledge is something that you know about a subject that exists. And I think ultimately the challenge for all marketers and agencies is that how do you put that into effect?
If you ask 5 different planners what do planners do, you will get 5 completely different answers. But in the same vein, if you ask 5 creative people and 5 account management people what they do, you will also get 5 different answers. It's basically advertising per se is slightly nebulous in its scope of work.
In any campaign development, the creative is the idea champion, person who champions the idea. Client servicing is the brand and business champion. And the planner is the consumer and culture champion.
People bring different disciplines, different skills, different temperaments, attitudes to a team. And it's the team that actually gets results and solves the problem. So I don't think there's any real issue in terms of defining role as a prescribed set of tasks that someone has to do.
No, what is constant and therefore defined very sharply is that you're still looking for the lever with which you can move the consumers, right? Where you can effect switches, where you can drive traction, as I'm saying, for the brand.
As a planning head of Ogilvy, I don't think I'm media shy. I don't want. But whether I want to be the only face of Ogilvy and Mehta, definitely not. As I come back to saying, the product that we give is not planning. Planning is a route to the end, and the end is the creative ideas. So.
Planners shouldn't be cribbing, saying that why heroes and heroines get better limelight than the story writer. That's how life is.
Low, particularly, our global chairman, Tony Wright, is a planner. So very specifically, that's not always the case.
If you take the top 20 agencies, all of them will have a large and robust client servicing function. All of them will have a large and robust creative function. All of them will have a large and robust studio function or even a commercial function. But half of them will not have planning to begin with.
One of the very famous planners once said that the description of planning in one word is generosity. That you should be able to come up with the idea and not be afraid to give the credit to somebody else. But in India it's very difficult. So smarter people, rather than becoming planners, started becoming account management so that they can have a bigger control over the agency scenarios.
When you cook, it's saying that in the entire dish there is only this much of salt. So what does it say about the importance of salt? To me it's like that.
There are a number of roles that, for example, account management performs throughout the hierarchy of the structure, and they simply don't need a planning equivalent. There's no point to having a very junior planner, for example. I mean, in fact, that's something of an oxymoron. How can you be a junior expert?
As the market is getting more complicated, it's getting more developed, more competitive, that's when the need of more specialized consumer knowledge is required. A more specialized consumer champion is required. And that is when the planning function will grow. That's what planners are.
You want me to give you a serious answer?
Failed copywriters, tired client servicing people, pseudo-psychologists. I'll add on to that, okay, pseudo-strategists, okay, R&D laboratory guys, okay. I think these are just comments made by people.
I think planning is what we call the nerve center of an agency, where like if you have a strong planning agency, then the agency is always pushing for ideas, and as I told you earlier, ideas are always strategic in nature.
If you define creative as out of the box thinking, I think some of the planners that I know make the best creative guys. But on the other hand, if you define creative as the ability to write a script, then I'm glad none of these planners are in creative, because they'll do a terrible job of it.
We can get to a point where we decide on a picture of a business or a marketing analysis. But being able to find a lateral solution takes something else. It takes an ability to see patterns in places where other people don't see them. It takes an ability to form connections where other people don't see them, and to make those kind of leaps. And those, yes, are very much associated with the creative way of thinking, the creative mind.
That's it then for this week. Do send us feedback. The address is logo@utvi.com. From the entire team that puts this show together, keep learning, keep watching UTVi.